Mailbag. He was asked if Jarrett Stidham would be the QB of the future in New England. Glazer said he believes so, and all indications are that the Patriots want Stidham to be the guy moving forward. So, Shannon, how many games can New England win with Stidham as the starting QB?
Skip, I still believe they can win something around 9 games, maybe 10 if they get a lucky bounce here or there. Clearly, Skip. So, in other words, Coach Belichick really made no attempt until the very last end, and I'm not so sure he made that attempt. I believe Mr. Kraft made an attempt. So Coach Belichick really made no attempt to re-sign Tom Brady. He's like, you know what's going to happen? They're going to release Brian Hoyer in Cleveland. He's going to come back, and he's going to start for what he's going to start for a year, and that'll give Stidham another year to get ready to move forward. Come on. This was Coach Belichick's plan all along. That Jarrett Stidham, he felt Jarrett Stidham was ready to take the reins, and he wanted to move in that direction, Skip. You look at, and me saying that they can win 9 games, Skip, is my confidence in Coach Belichick and the defense, not so much Jarrett Stidham, because we haven't seen enough to be able to formulate a real good idea of just how good he can be or how good he couldn't be. Skip, if you look at their defense, they were number 1 in scoring defense, total defense, and interceptions. They got younger. They got more athletic. They held an opponent to 17 points or fewer 12 times. They were undefeated in those games. And I believe that's the way they want to play. Because Coach Belichick was like, hell, it wasn't like Tom won us some games. He might have didn't lose us any. So if we play that kind of brand of defense again, and Stidham doesn't lose us any game, Coach Belichick feels that he can have a very similar record to what he had last year. Now, that remains to be seen. We're going to see. Coach Belichick seems to be willing to find out. He wanted to move in that direction. But I'm not surprised that Jarrett Stidham is going to start all this with Jarrett Stidham, and they're going to bring somebody else in. I believe they're going to give Jarrett Stidham every opportunity to succeed or fail. That was always going to be the plan. And if he doesn't get it done, Coach Belichick will have no problem moving on.
Shannon Sharp. The harder I look at what's left in New England, especially if Jarrett Stidham is going to try to replace Tom Brady, the GOAT, the harder I look, the more I see 6-10. And I'd be pretty impressed with 6-10. Shannon, number 1, they play the hardest schedule off last year's records. New England has the number 1 degree of difficulty, strength of schedule that they have to play. And just to remind everybody, they're non-division games, and tonight, obviously, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we get to see what the schedules, how they lay out, how they are actually chronologically in order.
When they play, yes.
Yes, but New England at home must play, besides their division games, Baltimore and San Francisco, and then Arizona, which I think is going to be a wild card team this year, and Denver and the Raiders. Then away, they have to go to Kansas City. They have to go to Seattle. They have to go to Houston. Hard. And they have to go to both LAs, both to the Chargers and the Rams. So 2 more big cross-country flight trips. And to me, if they could win 6 games with a first-year starter, I would be impressed, because help me out. What has Bill Belichick done to make his team much, if any, better through the offseason? He did next to nothing in free agency. I was very disappointed in him through the 3 draft days, the night and 2 days, because Mel Kiper ended up giving him a C+, and I kept waiting for him to sort of manipulate and dominate the draft, and he just didn't. Not one pick that he made did I say, wow, that was interesting. Way to go, Bill. And in the end, they still have Stephon Gilmore, maybe the best shutdown corner in the game. And they did re-sign Devin McCourty, who's one of the top safeties. But if you look at the mass exodus of free agents on defense, if you look at the front 7, it's got holes all over the place. Look at the front 3, holes across the board. I don't get it. That defense cannot be quite as good as it was last year. And then, Shannon, help me on offense. Who's your best offensive player? Is it Julian Edelman, broken down, beat up, off surgery at age 33?
Joe Tunney.
Is it N'Keal Harry? Who's that?
Joe Tunney, the guy they franchised.
Oh, yeah, they franchised tag.
Remember they franchised.
Right. Okay, so your guard.
Yeah, Tooney.
Yeah, he's your best offensive player. I'll give you that. Will N'Keal Harry suddenly turn into a first-round draft pick? Well, he didn't down the stretch last year. He played the last 8 games. And will Sony Michel ever get out of Belichick's doghouse? Because that's where he stayed most of last year. And it brings me to, is James White your best offensive player? Maybe. I don't know. He's 28 years old. He's had a great run. Is he the guy? Maybe he is. Because you didn't land a tight end. You had the worst production from your tight end unit in pro football last year, and I just don't see that you made it any better. So I feel a little sorry for Jarrett Stidham, Shannon, because, again, I told you this before. I watched him a lot in college. At Baylor, he was one of the top recruits in the nation, excuse me, out of Stephenville, Texas, for Art Briles.
Yeah.
And as a true freshman, he played a lot, and I watched a number of those games, some hits and some misses. Not bad. Then there was the scandal, transferred, played at McLennan Junior College. Then he went to Auburn. His first year at Auburn was really good. So if he's that guy, you got me. And he was the SEC Newcomer of the Year. He was second-team All-SEC quarterback. And they beat Alabama, and they beat Georgia, and they were good. He was very good that year. Then his second year at Auburn, which was his last year, he just lost it. He lost his confidence. He often lost his poise. He lost his way. He lost his accuracy. I couldn't recognize him anymore. And under fire, he got antsy and jittery and flighty. And that's why he fell to the 4th round. So clearly, Bill Belichick is trying to say, look what I got. Another diamond in the rough. I got my next Tom Brady later in the draft.
Yep.
So Belichick's saying, I don't want Jordan Love. There's too much hype and hoopla. I don't want Cam Newton. I guess he didn't want Andy Dalton. I don't know. Did he try for Andy Dalton and fail? I don't know. But it appears that he's content with Jarrett Stidham, who's played next to nothing through 1 pick 6 to Jamal Adams in garbage time last year. He got yanked. I can't believe that if they were a loaded football team and you were telling me, well, Jarrett Stidham's just going to ease right in and become a game manager for a very good team, you got me. I don't see a very good team. He's obviously a very good coach, but is he a miracle worker? You're going to have to work miracles. You're right. He is positioned. This is why Fox Bet has him as the #1 choice to be the coach of the year, because, if you make the playoffs with this, you're going to be the coach of the year. No doubt about it. But I'm looking at 6-10 more than 10-6.
Skip, now Stidham has raw tools, Skip. He was a 5-star recruit. Remember, Skip, he originally committed to Texas Tech. He goes to the game. Pat, my homeboy, throws for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. He decommit. I ain't got no chance of playing there. So that's kind of how that happens, Skip. Kind of like what I did with Ben Coates. I was like, bro, if you want to play next year, don't come here. I'm moving to tight end. You can't beat me out. But Skip, when I look at him, Belichick and what he's doing, do we believe that the AFC East are viable threats now? I know that Buffalo's Stephon Diggs, and they got a little better. But are we really trusting the quarterback? Are we really going to trust Fitzpatrick? Do we really believe in Brian Flores? Because I'm basing I'm giving the love that I've been giving the Patriots is because of Coach Belichick. Because I agree with everything you say. They ain't got nobody to write home about an offense like, man, hey, we got to take this guy away, or we got to double that guy, or that running back, he can light us up. There ain't none of that. The defense, oh, man, we got a slide protection here. We got to block Lawrence guy, or we got to slide the protection over there and take that guy away. Vinovich. If there's none of that, they got Stephon Diggs. Now, he's the one guy, like, okay, but I'm going to pick on the other guys. They picked up the option of Devin's brother, Jason McCourty. But like you said, they lost Harmon. They lost a lot. So it's going to be very interesting. And the only reason I say, Skip, they can win 9 games is because I believe in Coach Belichick. That's it, because it's not because they loaded with talent that I'm picking them to win 9 games.